Hi, boys and girls. Miss Cornelia here, ready to teach you about science. Now, I am so excited because last week you guys sent some awesome projects. Um, you guys sent some awesome projects for environment. I like the monkey environment, the bear environment. Awesome, awesome environments. Those are the only two I've seen so far. The monkey and the bear environment. Thank you, Mateo. Thank you, Daila. This week, we're going to be learning about something that we find in those environments, okay? So, um, we are going to be learning about food chains, okay? Now, we know that these animals choose to live in these environments because they find everything they need to live. For example, air, water, space, especially food. So that's what we're gonna be talking about today, the food. So today we're gonna learn about food chain. Food chain. Um, we know what a food is and we know what a chain. A chain kind of looks like this. En español es cadena, una cadena alimenticia que encontramos en los hábitats, ¿verdad? Entonces, we're going to be learning about food chains. And so we find different types of food chains in environments, not just one, many different types of food chains. So we're going to start learning about food chains. A food chain, boys and girls, is a diagram. Remember, we learn in reading about diagrams. Diagrams show us the steps or show us the order of something, right? And so a food chain is a diagram that shows the path of energy. So it's not who eats who, it's who gives energy to who, okay? So a food chain is who gives energy to who, from one organism to another living organism. Now, it's not just animals that are part of a food chain, it's also plants. And we're gonna be learning more about that. So in a food chain, we're gonna have animals and plants, and we're also going to have arrows. Now, the arrow, boys and girls, the arrow points to who is getting the energy. It's not who is eating who. We wouldn't have Miss Cornelio here with a big hamburger, right? Because that's what gives Miss Cornelio energy, right? We wouldn't have Miss Cornelio saying, Miss Cornelio gives energy to the hamburger. That doesn't make sense. Miss Cornelio doesn't give energy to the hamburger. It would be the hamburger gives energy to Miss Cornelio. So remember, this arrow is not who eats who, because a hamburger doesn't eat me. It's who gives energy to who. The hamburger gives me energy, because you know what, guys? All living organisms need energy to live and to grow and change. So let's go ahead and begin learning about a food chain, okay? So all food chains start with one of these pictures. All food chains start with one of these pictures. And so can you guess which picture the food energy begins with? If you said the sun, you are right. The sun is the thing that starts all food chains. Where whatever the food chain is, the sun always starts it. Now let's think. The sun gives, remember the arrow means gives energy. The sun gives energy to who? The caterpillar? Would the sun give energy to the bird? Or would the sun give energy to the milkweed plant? Let's think about that. Okay, if you said that the sun gives energy to the plants, you are absolutely right. Because the plant makes its own food. And for the plant to make its own food, the plant needs energy from the sun. Okay, so we have the sun here, and the sun gives energy to the plant. Now let's think, who does the plant give energy to? You're right. If you said a caterpillar, you are absolutely correct. This plant, the caterpillar So the caterpillar, the plant gives energy to the plant, to the caterpillar. Okay, so last thing, who does a caterpillar give energy to? That's right, the bird, the bird. So here we have a food chain that show us different living, well, this was not a living organism, this is a non-living organism, but we know the sun begins all food chains. We have 3 living organisms and the arrows show how the energy flows, okay? So the sun gives energy to the plant gives energy to an animal, this animal gives energy to another animal, okay? Now, this little bird might give energy to somebody else, maybe an eagle or a hawk, because some eagles or hawks eat smaller birds. So let's look at this food chain diagram, which we have here. We have the sun, which is a non-living thing. The sun gave energy to the plant because the plant uses the energy from the sun to make its own food. And then the caterpillar gets energy from eating the milkweed, right? Or the plant. And then the bird gets its energy from the caterpillar because birds like caterpillars. Okay, so this is what we learned today about food chains. Okay, in your packet right here, you have all of this information, friends, okay? The sun gives energy to the plant gets energy to the caterpillar gives energy to the bird. Same thing here, we have the food chain diagram here. But what I like about this food chain diagram is that they explain it. The energy from the sun begins at the food chain, okay? Begins the food chain. A plant uses the energy from the sun to make its own food. The caterpillar gets energy from eating the milkweed. And then the bird gets energy from eating the caterpillar. So this is the diagram. Think about that, friends, because you are going to be using looking at this food chain to help you come up with your own food chain, okay? Now this part you really don't have to do, so you can X that out. This is just so I remember what part I need to teach you. And so now we're gonna look at a different environment. Now this environment you would have found in like a garden, right? So now we're gonna look at a pond environment. And I know last week you guys saw several videos about the pond environment, okay? So let's look at this pond environment, okay? We know an environment is made out of living and non-living things in one place, right? And living things depend on each other in their environment. Now it says, look at the environment below. Circle 3 living things that depend on the sun. Well, I can see 3 living things that depend on the sun. I can see the lily pads depend on the sun. I can see these bushes depend on the sun. I can see these trees depend on the sun. I can see these berries depend on the sun. Those are plants because plants depend on the sun to grow, okay, and to make their own food. So what we're going to do right here, create a food chain diagram using the organisms in the pond. Shown. Draw arrows in the food chain showing the path of energy. Label these 4 parts of your diagram. So we're going to create a food chain with 4 things that we find in this environment. Now you too will be able to create this food chain with 4 items. Now, I'm going to use 4, but you might use 4 other different ones, okay? So for right here, we have the sun, a plant. We need an animal that gets energy from a plant, and we also need an animal that gets energy from another animal. So I know that the sun starts up any food chain. So the sun, I'm going to label the sun. Now the sun gives energy to who? A plant, right? So the sun gives energy to a plant. So I'm thinking that I'm going to pick this plant right here. And this plant has berries, right? Do you see those blue berries? I'm going to put a plant or a plant. Now this plant gives energy to who? Think about who could these berries give energy to? I think those berries could give energy to, excuse me, the mouse. I'm not very good at drawing a mouse, guys. I don't know. I don't know, like that. Excuse me. The mouse gives energy to who? Who does the mouse give energy to? The mouse gives energy. Uh-oh, what do we see here? The mouse gives energy to the snake. And I know that the snake can also give energy to the hawk, right? On my food chain, I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, right? My food chain has 5 parts. I could have stopped my food chain here. The sun, a plant, the mouse, and the snake. But then I'm like, oh, but the snake also gives energy to the hawk because hawks eat snakes. So this is a food chain that I found in this environment. I'm pretty sure you guys can find way more. Now you can use these animals or you can come up with your own food chain to complete the next part for your work. This is the work that you are going to complete, okay? Your job today is on page 107. You're going to create your own food chain, okay? Now you can create it using whatever you guys want. You can even create another food chain from this pond environment if you choose. Remember, you need to draw it, but you also have to label your food chain and describe the path of energy of your food chain. In other words, tell me what's happening, okay? Maybe we won't do this part, but to explain, go ahead and do this part. Do this part, don't do this part. Draw your food chain here, and then when you finish drawing, put your animals in these spaces. Read this and put it here. For example, for mine, my food chain, I'm gonna create one right here with you. This is the one that you guys saw me make, right? So I'm gonna erase this one and I'm gonna create my own food chain, okay? Uh-oh. Okay, so these are the ones. I have a frog. I have a snake. I have a grasshopper. I have some grass. And I have an eagle. And of course, I have the sun. So, in this spot right here, I'm going to create my food chain, okay? Now, remember guys, I'm going to make it up here on my board, and then I'm going to draw it here, okay? But I'm going to do it up here, okay? I'm going to start with the sun, because remember, all food chains begin with the sun. The sun gives energy, the arrow shows the energy, to the grass. The grass gives energy to the grasshopper. think I should have done these a little bit smaller. Let me move it a little bit this way. Here's my arrow. Here's my arrow. Here's my arrow. This grasshopper gives energy to the frog. The frog gives energy to the snake. And I can even make a longer one and say the snake gives energy to an eagle. Okay? But I'm going to stop in here just so you can see my food chain. This is the one I chose. So I am going to draw this food chain here. Okay? And then I'm going to use these animals to complete the work up here. Let me show you. Okay, so the blah, blah, blah shows blah, blah, blah in an environment. The food chain shows, and you know what? You can use these words over here to help you. The food chain shows we can say the food chain shows. Okay, we'll come back to that one. Let's see what's missing. It begins with the sun, and the sun is what, guys? Non-living thing. The sun gives energy to the plant. Oh, but my plant is grass. Remember, I have grass up here on my picture. So the sun gives energy to the grass. So the sun gives energy to the grass so they can make their own food. Next, the grass gives energy to, let's look at the grass gives energy to the grasshopper. Then the grasshopper gives energy to the frog. And then we can keep on going. You can stop there because you have your 4 parts, or you can keep on going. I'm going to take this part off. Okay, I'm going to stop my food chain there. The sun gives energy to the grass. Oh, sorry, guys. The sun gives energy to the grass gives energy to the grasshopper gives energy to the frog. I'm going to stop here because I have my 4 parts of my food chain. So the food chain shows energy in an environment. Energy in an environment. Okay. It begins with the sun, a non-living thing. The sun gives energy to the grass. Mine was a grass, so they can make their own food. Next, the grass gives energy to the grasshopper. Then the grasshopper gives energy to the frog. And so I'm going to draw this food chain that I had up here. So I am going to take a picture of all of this, not this part and this part, and I am going to make a food chain. Now you can make your food chain here, or you can even take a big piece of paper and make a food chain there, okay? Now when you're done with this and this on page 107, not this part, you can use the words though if you need help, but when you're done with this and this, you're going to turn it, you're going to go to page, here's 107, you're going to go to page 109, and you're going to answer question 1, you're going to answer question 2, and you're going to answer question 3, and you need to make sure you turn in page 109. Page 107, this part and this part with your food chain here, and then page 109 with this part here, okay? I hope you guys have fun with this. This is a food chain that you would find in an environment. Maybe you can even find a food chain from your environment that you made last week. I know the bear environment, there were a lot of other animals in there that you can choose to make your food chain, um, as well as the monkey one. Lots of other animals that you can choose for your own food chain. Hey guys, have fun creating your food chain. See you next week. Bye. Bye guys.